disturbed, which some of them are. Some of these debunkers are mentally ill. Really two options. Either people are mentally ill and disturbed, which some of them are. Some of these debunkers are mentally ill. Really two options. Either people are mentally ill and disturbed, which some of them are. Some of these debunkers are mentally ill. Really two options. Either people are mentally ill and disturbed, which some of them are. Some of these debunkers are mentally ill.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. The heat wave is lifted. It's beginning to rain outside, and it is a reasonable temperature. So I wanted to be here with all of you. We'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. So for those unaware, I have been covering this MH370 scam, and let's be clear, that's what it is. It's a scam. This grifter has made tens of thousands of dollars pushing completely and totally fake videos, claiming that the government or some secret organization or maybe aliens somehow teleported an entire airplane and all of its occupants somewhere, even though there has been wreckage of that plane found, which he really can't explain. And we have extensively covered this so much to the point where I made a 12-hour deep dive because I got tired of arguing with stupid people. And let me be clear, Ashton Forbes is a fucking moron. And anybody who believes anything that he says about these fake videos is an even bigger moron. And let's be clear, he's profiting off the tragic deaths of all of those victims of that tragedy. There was a point where he said, well, nobody in the family has complained. But now there are members of the victims of the family that have complained. And he still hasn't stopped. And what is most interesting to me is that this guy's getting platformed and put on as a guest on huge channels and huge shows. Most recently, I believe, Tim Pool. And, I don't want to say anything negative about the people that platform him, except that you should do some diligent research into his claims. Like, for instance, before you platform him, do you know that he was trying to run a scam to sell people fake free energy devices for $50,000? That was a 15-year-old scam with another grifter. Did you know that before you put him on your huge channel and helped him gain more notoriety, more fame on the internet? And let's be clear, this is Ashton's entire personality. He's the three orbs or four orbs, whatever. He's the MH370, and he's done the most research. And let's be clear, this guy has done like absolutely horrendous things. He has threatened critics, right? Over and over and over again. I know he told one woman critic of his that she's ugly and nobody loves her and that she should be AR'd or something like that. Like, the level of vitriol in his defense of an obvious hoaxing scam is absolutely positively ridiculous. And I myself have been very disappointed by people that I thought were more skeptical or science-based that still platformed him because, well, he'll get a lot of views, right? But do you really get credit? Like, does it matter? Okay, you got a lot of views with a proven liar, with a proven scammer. with a proven lunatic that doesn't know real science. And it's clear that he doesn't know real science because now a real scientist, a professor, in fact, has taken his grift on. And I was so happy to see this because I've been screaming from the rafters that these videos are fake. And here's why. We collected 12 hours of evidence that those videos are fake. First of all, they come from a channel that had multiple easily provably fake UFO videos on it. That's where they originated. Now, of course, there's been some things that have muddied the waters, like a certain person claiming he made the videos, and then it turns out that he was lying and he had nothing to do with making the videos. You know, people that support this clown Ashton point to that, like, well, see, the videos must be real. No, that somebody rushed in to a big conspiracy to try to gain some fame and notoriety for themselves, and he was a liar. It doesn't mean the videos are real. In fact, it means the videos are fake. And let's talk about some of the tactics that Ashton has used. I believe that Ashton is the one, can't prove this, this is my speculation, but I'm entitled to it. He's the one who was on Reddit claiming to be a Marvel virtual effects expert, right? And saying the videos can't be faked. That was his retort when real video experts started looking at these things. They're clearly composted out of images. The cloud background is fake. It's a 3D model of an airplane. There's so many things wrong with those videos that prove that they're fake. And my thing with Ashton is like, first of all, we have to go with the preponderance of the evidence. So if we can cite 15 recognized, accredited VFX experts or CGI experts, all 15 of which, you know, there's been a lot of people looking at these and saying they're fake, and here's why. If 15 different experts in CGI and animation and virtual effects have all looked at these videos and said, these videos are fake, they're composites, here's why. Then in order to prove that they're real, Ashton has to find 15 experts that will say, these are not fake videos. He can't do that, and he won't do that. So he resorts to character assassination. He's buying bots to try to appear more than he is. It's absolutely ridiculous. I forgot to set a goal for today, so let me go over to YouTube. We're going to do 30 super chats of any color, so all the colors, and we'll give it 2 hours. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get through these videos. And I was just going to do the second video, but I started watching the first video that this professor made, and I think we're going to start with that. Let's watch Ashton Forbes get completely and totally destroyed by a real scientist. And to me, it's kind of glorious that this happened, and I'm glad for it because there's only so much I can do, and sometimes just the guy with the bigger bullhorn is going to win. So this professor who ripped him to shreds has a huge following. This might make an impact. It might make people, realize like, oh, maybe I shouldn't platform this guy. He's scamming everyone. He's lying to everyone. He's using fake evidence to support his claims. Double Tap Ranger Outdoors is here. I would like a membership. How do I do that? Thanks for all your work in exposing those that take advantage of others. Thank you, Double Tap Ranger Outdoors. You just go to our main channel and you click the join button and you can become a member. And we appreciate your kindness, generosity, and support. Thank you for the super chat as well. Big support from Double Tap Ranger Outdoors. So before we get into the videos, though, I wanted to play his meltdown because his meltdown is something else. And this was posted by the average Chris. He's losing his fucking mind, Ashton is, because a real scientist has literally destroyed his grift. I don't think there's coming back from this, but then think about how stupid Ashton Forbes followers are. They're fucking morons. Ashton Forbes followers and supporters are absolute morons who have to ignore 15 or more by now CGI experts who've all looked at these videos and said they were fake. You got to be a real moron to ignore 15 experts. And by the way, I have some experience in those things, but I defer to the experts. I thought they were fake. I thought it was a still image background and composited on top of a still image background. And I've expressed my reasons for saying that those videos are fake. But remember, there's all these experts, Quarter Crew, and all these other people that looked at these videos and said they're absolutely fake, and here's why. We've got stock assets being used to make them. We've got static background. The clouds don't move. The clouds never move in these fake videos. But Ashton and his moron followers are still going to pretend that these videos are not fake. And that's what it is. Ashton Forbes and his moronic followers all live in a false reality. They want to believe that there's teleporting technology and wormholes and shit. I want to believe that too. It would make the world much more exciting. But what really happened to MH370 is a tragedy. Planes crash sometimes. It doesn't mean aliens zapped them out of the sky. But we're going to begin with his meltdown. But let me put my fair use banner up. The redneck preppy is here with $2 Canadian who says, you're gay and you're bald. Well, okay. I don't know if you're talking about me or somebody else, but thank you for your kindness, and Chrysler TV, one of those experts who I've interviewed extensively. She's posted every day on Twitter, I think. I haven't caught up with you much, Chrysler, but I saw you still posting about this. It's got to be 100 experts. Chrysler TV says it's got to be 100 experts in CGI and virtual effects and whatever that have all looked at these videos and said these are fake and here's why. And most of them agree on certain things. It's a static background. It's not a real background. It's a composite background made out of still images. There's stock assets can be found that you can buy on the internet in these videos. They are fake. And of course, Ashton first claimed, that he knew that it was satellite images, right? These were taken from a satellite, or now he's saying it's from a certain kind of a drone, but drone experts have weighed in and said that's not what video from those platforms looks like, right? There's problems with this so-called, FLIR video or thermal video. That's not the way it works. And Chrysler has done a good job ripping this thing to shreds. But like I said, the person with the bigger bullhorn often wins, and this guy has been able to get himself quite a big bullhorn, all based on lies, all based on totally fake videos. And it's amazing to me that you could get such a huge social media following with completely and totally easily provable fake hoaxed videos. But this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. I'm going to take a moment to recognize that we are using this clip under fair use, and I have lawyer letters standing by for anybody who's dumb enough to try to copyright strike or claim copyright. This is fair use. We'll be discussing the video, and I'm educating the public about this moron, Ashton Forbes, this complete and total grifting scumbag who has been profiting off of the tragic death of, 200 people? For how long now? Years he's been at this grift. So this is him responding to these videos, which we're going to watch. He lost his goddamn mind.
Find the person who made the videos or shut the fuck up. Is that clear? Is that not clear?
Just because we can't find the person that made the videos doesn't mean the videos aren't fake. They're fake as a $3 bill, Ashton, and you are a grifting scumbag moron who is re-victimizing the families of all those that were tragically killed on that airplane. I personally have spoken with one of those family members who want you to stop scamming people based on the tragedy and the death of their family member. But you're such a moronic scumbag that you're never going to stop. According to Chrysler, there's over 100 video experts who've all looked at these videos and said they're fake. When will it be enough for you to give up the grift, buddy?
The only thing you can possibly do on this world to convince anybody those videos are fake is find the person who made them.
Oh, yeah, 100 video experts all looking at them and saying they're fake and here's why, most with a lot of the same opinions of why they're fake. That doesn't matter, right? You got to find the person that made. He will use any out that he can get to keep the scam going. His whole life revolves around this. He's an invisible nerd. Before this, he was suing people over COVID masks, right? He ran a scam, allegedly, collected all this money, and then he filed a suit against a local municipality over, what was it, COVID masks or something like that? Then there was the free energy scam. But the big scam for him is this MH370 scam.
We've already had one person who's been confirmed to be a scammer, who's been pretending for a year and a half to have made the videos.
Yes, somebody pretended that they made the videos and he was not being honest. That doesn't mean the videos are real.
That convinced half the Redditors that he was the guy. And he just got exposed as a total fraud last week. And you're coming at me about the videos are fake? Fuck you.
Ashton, no matter how angry you get, those videos are fake. Those videos are as fake as a $3 bill. They're as fake as your free energy device. Those videos are fake, and your whole persona is built on a lie, a complete and total lie. So you can get as angry as you want. You're going to start threatening people again?
Fuck you, man.
Nice meltdown.
Fucking kidding me? I found the guy that leaked the videos. It's fucking over, man.
No, you didn't find the guy that leaks the videos. You found the guy that you think leaked the videos. You haven't confirmed that with him. No one has. He just found some guy that got arrested for leaking classified things, right? And he decided that was the guy who leaked these videos. There's no evidence of that. There's no proof of that. It's a theory, you moron.
Man, it's over. There's no debates about the videos being real.
There's no debates about the videos being real. There must be hundreds of videos now that have been made about how fake those videos are. So you're right, Ashton. There shouldn't be any debate about how fake those videos are. But you won't give up.
You're either a fucking retard who can't tell the videos are real.
Oh, yeah. If you don't believe my scam, then you're retarded. Nice. Yeah, let's not listen to all the experts that have chimed in and said these videos are fake and here's why. Let's listen to the guy who has profited the most from this whole conspiracy theory. Let's believe the guy that has a financial motive to keep this thing going. How much have you made? Pushing this? Tens of thousands? Somebody estimated 40 or 50 once. I'm sure of it.
Or you realize they are and you're trying to push us forward to the next level. There's no questioning whether the videos are real.
There's like Chrysler said, there's 100 video experts by now that have all looked at them and questioned them and said, these are fake videos. So what are you talking about? Are you just going to, this guy's like an ostrich with his head in the sand, right? Like he's just going to, I don't want to hear that they're fake. I don't want to see that they're fake. Like the three monkeys, this guy.
Everything's already been confirmed. The only thing that happened now is for the government to admit to it. That's it.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. Hello, government. We want you to admit that you teleported a plane out of the sky through a wormhole.
That's it, man. So when you make stupid ass shit about me, just realize you don't realize how fucking dumb you look in the future.
Oh, yeah. We look dumb because we're trusting the experts that have all looked at the videos and said they're fake, and here's why. Yeah, we look stupid. No, you and your moron followers look stupid, bro.
You don't realize that you're making the biggest mistake ever. I keep telling you over and over and over, and you don't fucking listen.
He is losing it, man. Oh, this is what happens when a real scientist takes him on and rips him to shreds. He doesn't know shit about physics, this guy, either. And I love how he finds like some theoretical paper on wormhole, and then he just decides wormholes are real. We have the technology because I found a theoretical physics paper about wormholes.
I'm not fucking with you. This is real life. That video is real. Your life is a fucking lie. Your whole life is a lie.
Listen to this guy talk about projection. Your whole life is a lie. Your whole life is these fake videos.
Your parents' lives were a lie. Everything on this.
And he got to insult everybody's parents. Now he's bringing your parents into this shit. Oh man,
Earth is a lie. Welcome to Earth. Jesus, man.
His whole identity is this thing. Look, he's got a 4 Orbs mug and a 4 Orbs background.
Just felt like some of you needed a reality check.
Yeah, we need a reality check. This loser has been pushing fake videos from a fake UFO channel. That's where they originated for years, claiming that the government or aliens or somebody teleported a whole 747 through a wormhole, but we need a reality check, not him.
Y'all are here on YouTube thinking you're playing a fucking game. This isn't a game.
This isn't a game. You're right. You're right, Ashton. All right. So listen, just to discuss a little bit more about this video and help make it fair use. This is what happens when a conspiracy theory moron goes up against real science. They lose their minds because they know that they're pushing fake nonsense. And in my opinion, Ashton knows those videos are fake. He even admitted that they were fake once, and then he took it back. He admitted the videos were fake, and then he took it back. I guess he thought, like, wow, what about my grift, right? Aaron Flores pointing out the obvious. It's highly unlikely that a passenger jet was injected into another dimension. Yeah, especially because they've found some pieces and wreckage of the plane. They haven't found the whole plane, though, and so Ashton's just going to keep on grifting, I guess. And you know, it's actually kind of sad because I think I understand a little bit about what's going on with Ashton. He was an invisible nobody. Nobody ever listened to him. Nobody cared what he had to say. And then he came across this, and it turned into a big deal. It gave him an identity. All right, so we are gonna get into the professor video. And interestingly, Ashton is grasping at straws, calling this guy a failed scientist and other stuff. I mean, I've looked over his resume. I realize he's kind of a controversial guy. He kind of likes, it seems to me like he likes to get into beefs with people on the internet. Or so some people don't like him, but you can look at his resume. He's a real scientist. He really taught at college. He was a real professor. You know, and this guy's going to use science to pretty much wreck Ashton's grift. Sorry.
Hey everyone, of all the things I've debunked, I have yet to tackle technology-based conspiracies. Well, it's time to add that to the list, because today we're going to address a pointless 2-bit grifter named Ashton Forbes. Who is he?
And by the way, somebody said that this professor was particularly nasty to Ashton. And I have experienced people saying that about me. And, you know, it's not my place to defend him being nasty to Ashton or coming across as nasty. But listen, neither this professor or I have any responsibility to be nice to somebody that's scamming people with completely fake pseudoscience. We don't have to be nice to him, you know? I don't have an obligation, I should say, to be nice to a scammer, a grifter, right? He called him a 2-bit grifter. Yes. All right, let's get into this.
And what kind of bullshit does he push? Let's find out. Ashton Forbes is a self-declared journalist. Of course, he's not really a journalist. That's just what idiot frauds call themselves to sound more legitimate, when all they really do is spew
Suffer
lies all over the
journalism,
internet.
guy.
He's a journalist the way Graham Hancock is a journalist. In fact, Ashton is the physics twin of Graham Hancock, but instead of going up against big archaeology, Ashton pretends he's battling the government, or mainstream physics, or whatever. It doesn't matter. He's just a brave whistleblower fighting against the establishment. Please like and subscribe. Ashton is best known for claiming that enormous advances in physics and related crazy sci-fi technology are being hidden by the government from the public, and even from top physicists in academia. Of course, he also says that all the information anyone needs to uncover these hidden death rays, zero-point energy modules, and anal probes is out there in the public domain, so anyone can play Fox Mulder.
Yeah, Ashton says, oh, all this stuff is out there. Wormholes are real. Because he found some paper that talks about it doesn't mean they're real. It's ridiculous.
Pretend times and figure it all out. This anyone obviously includes all the terminally online delusional toddlers who follow him, having zero knowledge of basic physics or any understanding of the words he uses, which is fitting since Ashton has no idea what he's saying either. If all this sounds like a contradiction, you're not alone. Everything Ashton spills the beans on is top secret, but it's also out there in plain sight.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if it's so secret, then how does Ashton claim that it's all out there in the public domain? It's like I said, like he finds some physics paper on wormholes and then he decides wormholes are real. Somebody wrote it. It's written on a piece of paper. It must be real.
The government...
He doesn't understand what theoretical physics is. You know, sometimes those guys just have theories. It doesn't mean that they have workable technology.
Pays billions of dollars to keep this stuff quiet, but also gives press conferences where they casually admit everything, and they even use it openly to vanish entire commercial aircraft. And
I love that shot. Look it. It's going through a wormhole, guys. Look. I bet you Ashton thinks that image is real, right?
dozens of civilians, all to prevent China from getting our Star Trek tech to presumably reverse engineer it into better iPhones or something. But the most pathetic aspect of Ashton's rise to dubious YouTube prominence is that it was a direct result of him leveraging a terrible human tragedy, the loss of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, the long search for the plane's debris, and an explanation for the crash. When the plane vanished, conspiracy theorists rushed into the vacuum of uncertainty, and Ashton was one of the loudest voices. He used the tragedy to claim that the government has the technology to create negative energy plasma orbs, which manipulate space-time to create wormholes. They can also make warp drives by adjusting the energy of the ether, a thing that was proven to not exist in the late 19th century. Fans of my Electric Universe debunks will be thrilled to hear that, according to Ashton, all of this tech is based on the moronic idea that gravity is actually a manifestation of electromagnetic energy, such that plasma orbs, which are magnetically coupled, can generate wormholes that swallow commercial planes and make them disappear.
Yeah, you know, it would be interesting. Come on, Ashton, if you say that this technology is real, then show us a wormhole, dude. Just show us one wormhole and you'll be vindicated.
And finally, this tech is the key to extracting free energy from space, obviously, and Ashton has a machine that produces energy from nothing. He can't show it to you, but he'll sell you one for a solid price. Just trust him, bro.
Yeah, $50,000. And here he is on Jimmy Dore. Like I said, there are huge shows platforming this moron. I thought Jimmy Dore was a pretty smart guy. Apparently not. I kind of, at one point, I was listening to Jimmy Dore. I just like that he's kind of anti-authoritarian, like anti-government, because I'm kind of like that. But anybody that would platform Ashton and not do any research and realize that he's scamming people with fake videos is kind of a moron too. You know, like it really lowered my opinion of this guy, Jimmy Dore, and Tim Pool, and anybody else that platformed him. And one of the things I've noticed, if you watch his appearances on these big shows, he's like a pig in shit. He loves the adulation and the attention he gets from it. So this is why he doesn't want to give up and admit that the videos are fake.
Anyway, we're going to comb through Ashton's recent appearance on the Jimmy Dore show. If you don't know who that is, he's a brainless hack masquerading as a comedian with a dog shit podcast where he just barks endless conspiratorial tripe. Ashton fits right in, vomiting his script of technical jargon to Jimmy's audience of easily impressed buffoons who...
Yeah, and one thing you'll notice if you listen to Ashton is he does sound like he's just speaking technobabble. You know, like, you ever watch Star Trek and they're like the phase manifolds of the negative ion plasma generator are fused. You know, like, it's just technobabble. It's not real science. That's what Ashton speaks in. Fake technobabble, Star Trek sci-fi language.
Can't tell that he has no idea what he's talking about. Ashton is trying really hard to rise through the ranks of internet grifters with these appearances, but he hasn't yet been invited on the holy grail of grifting platforms, the Joe Rogan Experience.
The holy grail of grifting platforms. Whoa. Guess he's not a Rogan fan. I like Rogan, but I cannot watch Rogan when he's talking to any of the UFO grifters. I just can't.
This makes Ashton very mad every day, and with good reason, since there are other idiot grifters no better than him who have been on the show. But for now, we will have to settle for Ashton and Jimmy.
We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along.
This is another thing.
We are capable
Somebody says something, so it must be true.
of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Whoa.
They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Just because this guy said that doesn't mean that we actually have that technology. I don't understand the jump. Like, well, somebody said it must be true. And this is what people like Ashton point to as evidence that we can create wormholes and vanish an entire airplane. It's childish, it's stupid, moronic, and ridiculous.
So now that sounds to me like he's saying we developed some kind of technologies in the 70s and then the powers that be tried to rein that in and slow it down for whatever reason. Is that what it sounds like to you?
Yeah, they hid it from us, sure.
I mean, that's what he's explicitly saying. You know, the people that are trying to, paint it in a different light, I think that they're the ones who have to stretch. And for me, when I hear 1970s, I think of the Mansfield Amendment. The Mansfield Amendment is actually when gravity research had to go private, because in the 70s, the military was spending all this money on research that wasn't considered to be military. So it became this political issue, kind of like with USAID, where like they were thinking it was, being used inappropriately. And so gravity research wasn't considered to have, direct combat purpose. And so it kind of potentially got hidden in defense contractors at that point.
The level of confusion you are experiencing will be constant throughout this video. Nothing Ashton says ever makes an ounce of sense, even if you're dumb enough to believe the lies he tells. He is pretending that gravity research had to go private. This is meaningless. Gravity is a topic in physics, and physicists are the ones studying physics, which is done primarily at universities, not at fucking Lockheed Martin. Gravity doesn't have direct combat purpose. Well, knowing how gravity works is pretty important for knowing how to fly planes and drop bombs and all that other war shit, and luckily for war people, we figured all that out a few centuries ago.
Oh, sure.
Nowadays, gravity research means expanding our understanding of general relativity, or attempting to develop...
Uh-oh. Why am I buffering? That's weird.
Quantum gravity or some similar construct.
Okay, we got
These are things that are done in universities. Most of the people who fall for a jerk like Ashton are probably also obsessed with Eric Weinstein.
What is going on? One moment. I didn't check these videos to make sure they're good before we start it. Oh, just give me one moment here. We'll see if we can't figure this out. Oh!
secret. This is like when flat earthers pretend that NASA means to deceive. They spend $1 gazillion to hide the truth, but then also just openly tell us the truth. Airtight, morons. Okay, it's time for some actual physics, but first, let me tell you about today's sponsor. As you know, I do a good amount of debunking, which amounts to poking of 60% off. Number of specific links
Fast enough that you could stop time.
Oh, let's go back a little bit. We want to hear this. Here we go.
And he,
Go ahead.
Yeah, and he's talking about E equals MC squared.
No, space and time are not the same. They are two aspects of one thing called space-time. And no, moving so fast that you stop time is not about E equals mc squared. It's derived from the time dilation equation, whereby if you were to somehow go the speed of light, which is impossible for any massive object, other observers would see your clocks frozen in time.
And this is what I would add on to that.
So Ashton gets basic fundamentals of physics completely and totally wrong to fit his wackadoo theories.
I'm here to help prove Einstein correct. Einstein's the one that theorized gravitational waves and ripples. Ripples in what? Space is not actually empty. That's the only thing that we have to realize. And it doesn't require rewriting any laws of physics. It just requires a conceptual viewpoint change.
Physicists don't need your help to prove Einstein correct, sweetie. That's already happened
I
countless
think
times.
Ashton's dumber than
Ripples
Wilcox.
in what? In space-time.
It's a
And
toss-up.
gravitational waves were indeed detected by actual physicists in 2015. You're not even qualified to get their coffee. And then, of course, this whole space is not empty
shit, he said you're not
revelation is
qualified
just
to get
referring
their
to the
coffee.
quantum foam that fills space-time on the smallest scales, and that was first postulated by John Wheeler in 1955. We've got this covered, Ash. I would tell you to relax, but it's time for you to start really cranking out the high-octane stupid now.
The universe is electric. What
I
unifies
don't
the
know
very
if he got
small
canned.
things and the very
But
large
is
things
that relevant?
is electric charge,
Yeah,
positive and minus.
This is great.
Yes,
Like,
much like idiot flat earth.
attack the messenger, right? It's got to be an Ashton fan there. Who cares if he got fired from a job? Is he wrong about the physics? I don't believe he is, but I'm no physics expert.
Or Terrence Howard, Ashton found some Thunderbolts project videos on the internet and is presenting their bullshit as his own. No, Ash, the universe is not electric. That doesn't mean anything. Electric charge isn't uniting anything on the largest scales. Bulk matter is electrically neutral. Furthermore, the electromagnetic force is both attractive and repulsive, while gravity is only attractive. That's why the latter dictates the structure and behavior of the universe when you zoom out a bit. Frauds like Ashton have rehearsed objections to this obvious fact. Of course, electromagnetism shapes the cosmos, not gravity, which
Ashton is using a lot of electric universe talking points nonsense, which is also pseudoscience.
is dumb and wrong for the reasons I explained earlier, and also in profoundly greater detail in my handful of electric universe debunks. To give a highlights reel, they spew horseshit about electric currents and magnetic fields powering all the galaxies, even though this already baseless approach falls apart completely when looking at elliptical galaxies rather than spiral galaxies. Nothing they say does anything whatsoever to explain what we know about cosmology.
Well, he could be
such
right
as
and
the
be an
cosmic
asshole at the
microwave
same time,
background
Aaron.
radiation.
Yeah.
It contradicts everything we know about how stars work, how elements form, and posits insane bullshit like
And
comets
by the
being
way,
electrically
I'm not defending this guy, but if you've ever known anybody that's extremely, extremely intelligent, they're always a little bit arrogant. You know, it kind of comes with the mental gifts, I guess.
charged, when in fact we've landed a probe on a comet and know exactly what they are made of. My Wall Thornhill debunk goes into this stuff in way more detail, so head over there if you're interested. Now back to making fun of Ashton.
It's actually that simple. The
Back to making fun of Ashton.
speed of light actually isn't constant. It just appears constant because we're in this fish tank we call space-time. And while we're in that space-time, the speed of light, the refractive index of that medium is the same. So it just appears like it's a static constant.
Sounds pretty.
But we can actually change
This
that
is the
refractive
techno
index
battle.
optics.
Holy hell, that's a lot of stupid. Space-time doesn't have a refractive index. That doesn't mean anything. He's resurrecting crap from 150 years ago. Before
Yeah,
relativity,
he loves the ether bullshit, and that's fake.
people wondered, if light is a wave, what is doing the waving? Sound is waves in air. Ocean waves are made of water. What is the medium of light? The most popular theory was the ether, the idea that space was filled with something invisible and light was just wiggles in that ether. But experiments to discover the ether, like the famous Michelson-Morley experiment of 1887, which tried to measure our speed through the ether by measuring the velocity of light in two directions as the Earth went around the sun, found nothing.
No ether, yes. So whenever you hear an electric universe guy or pseudoscience babbler like David Wilcock or Ashton Forbes talking about ether, it's pseudoscience. It's basically mythology at this point. Scientists don't believe that ether is a real thing anymore. That was an ancient theory that was basically debunked by experimentation.
No ether. Light always has the same speed in a vacuum, and this is one of the fundamental constants of the universe. This is one of the two postulates of special relativity, which has been corroborated countless times. This speed is constant because light, or electromagnetic radiation, is the oscillation of the electromagnetic field, which is part of space itself. It doesn't require an ether to propagate. Going 150 years into the past to promote ancient obsolete viewpoints as novel insight is just par for the course with grifting frauds who are incapable of writing their own script from scratch. Is the electromagnetic field being a part of space just another way of labeling the ether? No, it's fundamentally different because the electromagnetic field is not something you can measure your velocity relative to. It's not a thing in space the way water fills a fish tank. Fish can measure their speed relative to the water, so a hypothetical scientist fish could discover the existence of water by seeing that sound travels at different speeds relative to you, if you are moving fast or slow in the water. The ether is not water in space. Light always has the same speed regardless of your velocity.
Light always has the same speed. Ashton said the speed of light changes. I don't know.
Because space is not a thing like water. You can't measure your speed relative to it the way you would be able to with an ether. So the idea that space is filled with an ether that has an index of refraction is moronic.
Moronic, he said. Holy jeez.
If you fill space with something and shine light through it, like water or glass or air, it will slow down the light because the light now has to interact with particles in that substance, getting absorbed and re-emitted in slightly different directions and with a minuscule delay each time, in a way that depends on the composition and density of that particular substance.
Yeah, so he took something that's kind of real science and warped it for his grift purposes.
That's just optics, but there is no ether changing the motion of light in space, or we would have detected it both 150 years ago and today.
And ultimately what this means is...
So Ashton is completely and totally wrong in his talking points on a huge podcast, completely and totally fake, just spewing fake science facts.
As we open the door to teleportation, otherwise known as Miguel Alcubierre's warp drive metric, which is pretty much the same as what you would see in Star Trek in terms of their warp drive.
Yeah, misrepresenting something a government official said means Star Trek is real. How does
this is what gets me about Ashton? You're right. He's right. Misrepresenting what a government official said means Star Trek is real. And we've got teleporters and warp drive and wormholes, and it's just ridiculous and childish.
Does this moron have followers? If we want to be as charitable as humanly possible, general relativity does allow for wormholes, which could be construed as warp travel, but that's actual science, which includes quantitative calculations that tell us how much energy would be required to be able to do that, and it's basically the mass energy equivalent of an entire star. I don't see any stars being converted to energy, so that shit ain't happening.
Yeah, so the theory that a wormhole could be created is true, but the energy required to open it or to create it is basically, it would take all the energy of, for example, our sun for its entire length of existence to do it.
And it wouldn't.
And again, it's still theoretical.
Be teleportation.
So did they use they would require the energy of an entire sun to teleport that airplane. That alone means that Ashton's theories are completely and totally dog shit, batshit crazy. Do we really believe that somewhere somebody harnessed the entire energy of an entire sun through its entire lifetime to teleport one airplane somewhere?
Anyway, beyond the sheer scale involved, both warp drives and wormholes would require matter with negative energy density, and absolutely nobody has any idea how to do that, not even Ashton's fictional government super geniuses.
So you're saying
Oh, I love it. He's getting torn apart, this guy. Don't touch me, I'm crazy is here and says Dave usually debunks flat earthers. His style is merciless because he deals with such depraved scammers constantly. Yeah, and don't touch me, I'm crazy. I feel the same way. Like when I first started this show, I was a little kinder to the people we covered and a little, I guess you could say, fairer. But after observing, like let's take Linda Moulton Howe. She scams her audience with fake alien pictures. We catch her, and then a year later, she scams her audience with more fake alien pictures. I don't have to be nice to her. She's the grifting grandmom. She's a scammer, So after a while, you lose your patience. Like being kind to people requires energy. It really does, right? I mean, anyway, yeah. I totally understand why somebody would be merciless and sort of angry and nasty towards these scammers.
saying that human beings today possess Star Trek technology.
Yeah, somebody on this planet does. My guess would be that Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman.
Oh yeah, bring in the aerospace companies. They have the secret tech. Sure, he got that basically from Stephen Greer.
That there is a breakaway civilization of people.
He stole that shit from Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan's breakaway civilization. They have technology far ahead of us, which may be true. But I don't think they have wormhole generating technology and teleporters
on this planet. I would go so far as to say that the whole UFO phenomenon and the culture around the UFO stuff is basically just a throw off the scent. That we have figured out extremely advanced technology beyond the paradigm.
The only nugget worth entertaining here is that the UAP crap was manufactured to distract people, but it sure as hell wouldn't be to hide any warp drives or some other crap like that. This is pure tinfoil hattery.
Tinfoil hattery.
But let's see if he can muster up some specific claims about this hidden technology and what sorts of phenomena it would rely on.
That we have basically figured out space and time is not empty. And that if there is this latent energy, this 0 point energy that's out there, that we can use it to tap into for energy, produce fusion, the way that it's meant to be done, manipulating gravity.
Oh, geez. Of course, bring in free energy with your grift.
That we can produce a warp drive, which would
free energy is fiction.
Be just like a conveyor belt where you're manipulating the medium, like how a submarine floats through the water. And then if you take that to its extreme, take Einstein's equations to their extreme, just like Miguel Alcubierre did. You can actually create a shortcut between space and time. Just like in the movies where they say, okay,
oh God, is he going to use the piece of paper thing? Really?
Your paper and fold it in half and then puncture a hole right through it.
Well, that was disappointing. Again, we've known about things like the quantum foam and 0 point energy since decades before Ashton was born. He just memorized some buzzwords to make it sound like he's presenting some revolutionary information when it's just stuff you're supposed to learn as a physics undergrad.
Yeah, this is physics undergrad stuff.
The Casimir effect, quantum fluctuations, this is freshman year stuff. Ashton doesn't know what it is, he doesn't know what it does, he doesn't know how much of it there is, and he sure as fuck has no idea what would be required to harness it and what could be done with it. What else can we say about the 0 point energy? Well, for one, it's the title of a dope song I made a while back. Check it out.
It's just the 0 point energy, the fluctuating sound of energy.
Sorry, I have to drop a plug when the opportunity arises. Simulated Sun is linked in my featured channels list. But back to the science, let's also talk with more detail about this concept, since Ashton never shuts up about it. We know that space is a writhing maelstrom of fundamental quantum fields, one for each fundamental particle. These fields can vibrate, changing their kinetic and potential energies. Ripples in these fields are the particles we know and love. You and your lunch are made of ripples and fields. The bottom line is that the vacuum of space contains energy. What happens if you pull all the particles out of a chunk of space? Do the fields go quiet? No, because they are quantum fields. They cannot relax to zero.
This is very important. Some of the talking points, and you'll hear Greer, because he had a free energy scam do this. You'll hear you'll hear Ashton talking about the free energy scam, and they all use very similar talking points. Well, there's a 0 point energy, and if we could extract, you'll hear the same talking points over and over again. Like if we could extract the energy from the empty volume of a coffee cup, we could power the earth for years just from that. But again, it's all theoretical. It's pie in the sky, maybes, hope so's, possibilities, and theories. Nobody's ever done it. No one in the history of all these free energy scams, and let's be clear, there have been hundreds of free energy scams, thousands of free energy scammers over the years. Nobody's ever proven that free energy is a real thing. It is fictional. And I say that having been one of the morons that spent way too long trying to build devices. They don't work, in my experience.
Their minimum energy configuration, what physicists call the vacuum state, has non-zero energy. This is the ground state energy, or 0 point energy. Some fields have more than others, like how the Higgs field is stuck in a state of higher potential energy, which is why it gives mass to the other particles that interact with it. So space is filled with energy. It's always there. It's an intrinsic property of space. That's true. Do we completely understand every aspect about the vacuum? No, we do not. And lots of
the key is, though, how do you extract it?
smartest people on the planet are working hard to figure it out. For example, one big mystery is whether the energy in the vacuum is causing the accelerating expansion of the universe. We discovered 100 years ago that galaxies are all moving away from us, meaning that space is growing between us and other galaxies. And we discovered 25 years ago that this expansion is accelerating. What can cause that? Relativity says that if space is filled with potential energy, it can cause this kind of repulsion, which we have labeled somewhat whimsically dark energy.
Dark energy.
But we can't say that the 0 point energy is definitively the cause of the accelerating expansion. Dark energy is still very much a mystery. Can you extract this energy from space? Use it to charge your iPhone or power your airplane kidnapping plasma balls?
Can you power your kidnapping plasma balls with free energy?
No, we're already in the lowest energy state. The only reason it's not zero is because of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Particles and fields have to keep a small amount of quantum jiggle, otherwise they would be stationary and we would simultaneously know both their position and momentum at the same time. This is forbidden in quantum mechanics, since particles are also waves which can't have precise positions and momenta simultaneously. But what about the Casimir effect we mentioned? What is that, and does that prove there's energy in space?
Ashton loves mentioning the Casimir effect.
If you put two super thin, electrically neutral metal plates right near each other, you measure a small attractive force. This is called the Casimir effect. What's happening? Having two metal plates there changes how the fields behave. The way putting an electron in a box changes its energy levels. Here, the ZPE between the plates is different from the ZPE outside the plates, which creates an attraction between the plates. It's not pulling energy from the vacuum, it's changing the vacuum. Does that mean it's totally impossible to ever get energy from the vacuum? Could some super crack team of secret government physicists have figured out a better theory than the quantum field theory that correctly predicts the results of ultra-precise experiments at $10 billion Hadron Colliders? Oh, while also keeping it a complete secret?
Yeah, this is very important. If this technology was developed, I don't believe that people would be able to keep it secret for all these years. In order to believe Ashton, you'd have to believe that not only did somebody develop this technology, but that they've been able to keep it quiet for that long. There are 10 million scammers worse than Linda. Yeah, you might be right.
I'm going to go with no.
Big no.
Also, ZPE has nothing to do with fusion. When he says we can use it to do fusion the way it was meant to be done with gravity, that's totally meaningless. We are doing fusion right now, and we're doing it with magnetic containment to control plasma. That's what a tokamak is. And this moron is the one pretending gravity is electromagnetism, so who knows what the shit he's even really trying to say.
Wow, yeah. This guy is pretty much ripping apart Ashton's pseudoscience technobabble.
Really, the only parallel would be that he is pretending we figured out cold fusion, and the government is suppressing that too. So it's just another totally separate line of complete bullshit. This is the angle he takes on Twitter. Take a look at this tweet.
Yeah, listen to this bullshit.
I had a call today with top scientists. Were you taking their lunch order, Ashton? Nobody is doing
Oh!
cold fusion, and he's pretending plasma is some super cool buzzword when that's just how we actually do fusion. These types of tweets are just him cosplaying as a scientist in order to sell a story. They invited me to Portugal, you guys. These super awesome imaginary scientists totally need my help to keep inventing this imaginary thing.
Yeah, and just to be clear, he does this a lot where he pretends that he's in touch with all of these top-notch scientists that agree with him. But he never names them. We don't ever hear from them. Just like those anonymous Reddit posters that said, I'm a Marvel effects expert, and those videos can't be fake. They're real. Sure, Ashton.
Isn't that awesome? Total Eric Weinstein vibes minus the legitimate math knowledge.
The big lie that you're going to hear from academia is that, oh, negative energy is this exotic thing that doesn't exist. Don't think about it. Like, yes, all the math says it should exist, but don't think about it. No, it turns out the only thing is that now we realize we're in this medium of energy. We realize what we think of as zero is the bottom. It's not really the bottom. We're just sitting on top of this ocean of energy. We're sitting on top of it. And
Why doesn't he show us his free energy device working? Right? Wouldn't that sort of like vindicate him? I mean, after all, he was trying to sell a free energy device for $50,000. So shouldn't he be able to show us a free energy device working? And I love how somebody once asked him, why don't you power your house with it? Because that would be a good like technology demonstrator. And he had some excuse about his living situation, which basically led me to believe that he lives in his mom's basement or something. And his mom won't let him play with electricity, right? 0 with 10 and 1 for the goal. Even superstructures like Dyson spheres couldn't create free energy. You are correct. The Dyson sphere is a pretty awesome theoretical device. It's basically like encapsulating an entire sun and sucking its energy away. 0. And the Dyson spheres were used in a lot of science fiction, Star Trek specifically. Ashton requested a copy of the video of his colonoscopy. Okay.
that means, oh, there's this ocean of energy that can be tapped into.
More bullshit. Don't think about it. Thousands of people are being paid to think about that and thousands of related things right now.
Yeah, that's
Academia
true.
simply says that exotic matter with negative energy density has never been observed because it hasn't. If Ashton knows how to make it, he should just do it and win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, Ashton once said that he was going to win multiple Nobel Prizes. Guy with no physics background. Good luck.
It's so easy, right? Then get to work, moron. As
Get
far
to
as
work,
tapping
moron.
into this
Damn.
ocean of energy, once again, just no. He's probably referencing Dirac's sea of particles. When Dirac was thinking about the quantum mechanics of an electron, he noticed that the Schrödinger equation also had solutions with negative energy. That was odd because nobody had seen negative energy states. And the universe likes to relax to lower energy, so Dirac wondered why electrons don't just emit photons forever, sinking into infinitely negative energies.
Yeah, so Ashton kind of like picks up little things and he like weaves it into his grip.
Electrons in the universe don't do that. If you leave an electron alone, it just sits there. It doesn't spray photons and gather some weird mystical negative energy. So Dirac suggested that maybe those negative energy states are already filled up, blocking the electron due to the Pauli exclusion principle, which says that 2 electrons in a system cannot be in the same state. And he noticed that if one of the negative energy states were open, it would react oppositely to electric fields, the same way a positively charged electron would. Thus, the positron was hypothesized. But that doesn't mean there is a sea of negative energy positrons all around us. It was just a problem with thinking about it in terms of individual particles, the way Schrödinger had. His equation is great for understanding a single particle, but it can't naturally handle creating and destroying particles. Quantum field theory is a generalization of early quantum mechanics, which says that you shouldn't focus on a single
This might be a little too much science for me.
particle the way Schrödinger did, but But think of particles as energy levels of a field. If the field goes up in energy, that's another particle. So now it's easy to think about creating and destroying particles as the field wiggles with more or less energy. With the advent of quantum field theory, we understood that electrons and positrons were just two different ways a single field could wiggle, and that field naturally has a ground state of close to zero energy. There are no negative energy solutions. Electrons and positrons both have positive energy. We know that since we've seen positrons and measured their positive energy, both from cosmic rays and particle accelerators. That's one thing that's useful about those expensive particle accelerators that some people whine about.
What you're saying is that White House spokesperson kind of let the cat out of the bag and letting us know that we have Star Trek technology. Somebody
said it. It must
manipulate space-time and possibly we could teleport like they do in Star Trek.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that wasn't letting the cat out of the bag. That was definitely an intentional release. See, that doesn't get written up that way without the intention of, they knew people were going to react.
Oh, sure. They want to let us know we have transporters.
Again, this is below toddler logic. When people spend billions of dollars to keep something secret, they don't just willingly share the secret in front of microphones and cameras.
Secret future
Anyone
tech.
who buys this is a complete moron. Corporations with awesome tech will make money with their tech. This is capitalism 101.
I'm not just saying that we have it. Like, I'm showing it in the videos that
of
what happened on the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370.
Teleporters.
Someday people will accept that that's what we did to the plane. And I'm also digging into the scientific papers and the patents, talking to the engineers, like Navy engineer Salvatore Pais.
Of course, he mentions Pais, who claimed to basically invent both free energy and anti-gravity, but he can't show us anything working. So what does that tell you about those patents? And by the way, there's a long history of people getting patents for things that don't actually work, Ashton. Just because he got a patent doesn't mean that his theories actually work. Salvatore Pais, to me, comes off like a grifter. He's never shown a working device. If you claim you've got a working anti-gravity engine and a working free energy engine, and you're a scientist, you would win a Nobel Prize. Something all scientists crave. If he had working technology, he could show us something that works. He hasn't yet, and he never will.
Actually, somebody just texted me earlier and said that Joe Rogan just apparently on Instagram posted a thing about his patents. The guy's 100% legit. He just got like UFO patents that explain these plasma orbs and everything.
Oh yeah, explains everything.
And the world just hasn't quite caught up to it yet.
Yeah, where are all...
Yeah, and those are the same patents that David Wilcock 3 years ago said that he was going to use to create hover cars. Still no hover cars from David Wilcock. What does that tell you? It's not real or working technology.
All the videos demonstrating these super cool negative energy plasma orbs bending space-time made by these super legit secret scientists. Oh, you don't have any?
Yeah, where is the proof? This person is correct. Where is the proof? Show us a video of a working device. Let real scientists measure the device and see anti-gravity or generators or wormholes or any of this shit. All Ashton has is literal bullshit.
Gee, that's a shame, since that's kind of the only thing that would convince any rational person that they exist. Bragging about your imaginary friends doesn't really go too far with that.
So I call myself a 0-point energy influencer. Because I realized I don't even need to prove the science or the physics. It's all out there. The papers are out there.
This dumbass is...
He just said he doesn't need to prove that this is real. It's all out there.
Contradicting himself every time he opens his mouth. You don't need to prove what you're saying because the physics is out there. The papers are out there. What papers? There are no papers talking about the Star Trek
papers
fan fiction
supporting
you're
this
spewing.
crap. Zero.
And you've repeatedly said that it's all super secret government stuff. Is it secret or not, moron?
Yeah, it can't be both. Either it's super secret technology or it's all out there.
If it's a secret, then stop pretending all those papers you've never read support the dumb shit you say. If it's not a secret and all the papers are there, where are all the Nobel Prizes for this revolutionary science you're
Exactly. If anybody developed real working technology like that, they would have Nobel Prizes.
Pretending exists. I hope your idiot followers think it's your glasses that make you seem smart, because it sure as shit isn't your words.
I don't need to build
Oh,
anything.
man.
People have been building free energy devices and stuff like that, getting discredited for decades.
Oh, he doesn't need to build anything. He doesn't need to show us anything that works. You know, can you cope a little harder, Ashton? Like, it's a very reasonable request. If you're saying that we have workable Star Trek technology, then show us a working device. Instead, he makes excuses for why he doesn't have to do that.
Yes, people have totally built the imaginary impossible thing you're referencing, so there's no need for you to do it. That's not a cop-out at all. This moron couldn't build a potato battery for a middle school science fair, so it's a good thing he doesn't have to build...
This moron can't build a potato battery. I remember doing that. When I was a kid, we did it with lemons, though.
anything to sell this grift, although he did try and totally humiliated himself on his own live stream.
Yeah, here he is showing a 14-year-old fake free energy device.
More on that a little later.
We just need to wake people up that all the same bullshit that we're getting fed in the media, all the same corruption in the government, that's happening in academia as well. And it's not just medicine, like with all the COVID bullshit that we dealt with. It's happening in like physics and science.
Wow, in physics and science? No way. This jackass doesn't know that physics is a subset of science. And yeah, all that COVID bullshit. Hey you, have you been brainwashed by propaganda from frauds about COVID stuff? Then I have some other crap you're gonna love.
The defense contractors have
exactly.
been stealing all the best scientists and engineers, mostly engineers, and it's left this brain drain in academia where all we have left are the normie NPC thinker type people.
Yeah, all those normie NPCs, all those brainless jerks at Caltech
jerks.
and MIT doing all that actual real science.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He's discounting the real scientists that are doing really great scientific research at all the major universities. They're all stupid normie people.
Don't stand a shot in hell at understanding. Ashton, you couldn't pass a high school physics quiz, so referring to the top minds in physics as NPCs just makes you look like the most delusional toolbox on the planet.
You know, the establishment is very good at finding people who stay inside the lines. Journalism is full of them, right? And so is medicine. And now you're saying so is physics. Well, the same thing happened to me with the Syrian gas attacks. The same thing happened with the Ukraine war. And then, of course, COVID, right? So I've had people who knew me all my life completely disown me and smear me and slander me in the most despicable ways, and in public and on social media. And everything I said turned out to be 100% correct.
I don't know about that. But
nothing you say is ever correct, Jimmy. We don't have time to give you the full treatment since this video's about Ashton. But what you call staying inside the lines is just people who know what they're talking about.
Actually knowing things. Imagine that. We want to thank Farty McFly for $1.99. 5 to 10 years, Forbes will be the new Wilcock. I completely and totally agree with you. I completely and totally agree. He will be the next... He will be a career-long grifter, Farty McFly. And thank you for your kindness. And look at that. Robert P. is here, and he has gifted 5 True Seekers memberships. Let's go. Great support, Robert P. And this is why you got to hit that subscribe button, because if you're not a subscriber and you're in the live chat and a kind and generous soul like Robert P. here, one of the MVPs of gifting memberships, gifts the memberships, you can win a free one, like Orbital Reality, Rome Like Kane, N. Reed, Darren Kern, and Caleb Foster all got free memberships thanks to the kindness, generosity, and support of Robert P. Thank you for your kindness and helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you very much, Robert P., for your kindness. And I'll go over and recognize and welcome in the Kick Live chat. I forgot to do it earlier, so I apologize. We'll go over to the Kick channel. We've got Winter Soldier over there. Rex Holes 689 is over there. And Scopely CFO is there. And, yeah. And let me check in with my creator dashboard over there, see if we have anything to call out over on the Kick side. For those unaware, we thank every single person who gifts a membership or does anything. Any support, we thank them. Scooter the Pooter gifted a sub over on Kick. Big support. Big support on Kick tonight. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and helping us to praise the cash, all of you.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're going to continue with this. We're about halfway through. Hey, Kevin Alt is here. Now it is a party. Kevin Alt has arrived.
Rather than assholes like you who propagate lies to make money on the internet. Drop the victim complex.
And so now, there's a long way to get to now. Have you experienced that?
Well, I was going to say, that's why I wanted to talk to you to some degree, because I thought you might be able to relate to that. And yeah, of course I have. Nobody in mainstream has ever brought up the topic, ever mentioned my name. In the UFO community, which is where this gained prominence, none of the top people will ever mention me, never have. Many of them probably get asked about me all the time, about the videos.
That's not true. David Wilcock has mentioned him. Stephen Greer has mentioned him. Other top-tier grifters have mentioned Ashton. So that's not entirely accurate.
Small number have. It's like they're afraid to even talk about the videos, talk about me.
Or they're smart enough to realize that the videos are fake, Ashton. And if the videos are fake, then your whole grift is basically built on lies, so they don't want to associate with you because you're kind of debunked yourself by starting your whole grift with fake videos to begin with.
Aw, Ashton is a little butthurt that other conspiracy peddlers don't care about him. How adorable. Of course, what's most hilarious is that he's contradicting himself yet again. All of these concepts are never uttered in the mainstream, except that everything he says is directly derived from standard academic physics. Zero-point energy, space-time, even the obsolete concepts like the ether. It's all derived from academia. He just repackages it for people who have never studied any science and pretends it's all novel insights.
There's at least a story out there from the late 1890s.
He pretends that he discovers all
or
this.
1880s, where a guy was supposedly arrested because he was trying to sell phones, house phones, street on the door to door, and the people thought he was trying to scam people because they thought there's no way you can actually transmit voice via wires. And then when the Wright brothers were flying airplanes around, physicists said that it was impossible, that it was fake, even when they had pictures of it and videos, because they could do video back then, like just simple stuff.
Yes, sometimes scientists get it wrong. This is false equivocation. Well, in the past, scientists have gotten things wrong, therefore my theories are correct. That's false equivocation. One of these things has nothing to do with the other, Ashton. Just because scientists have gotten things wrong in the past doesn't mean that you are correct with your fake videos and your fake pseudoscience nonsense. He has like a high school level understanding or grade school level understanding of actual physics. He's just good at regurgitating buzzwords and technobabble.
Then they would come around and be like, okay, yeah, but it'll never be commercialized. Okay, now you've proven us wrong that you can actually fly, but it'll never be commercialized.
Wow, 2 examples of somebody being wrong about something, which may or may not have happened. Therefore, anyone can make up any bullshit, and it must be true. Straight from the Grifter Playbook.
Grifter Playbook. I love this guy. Get him.
Elon Musk tweeted out a picture of the Wright brothers and then a picture of the astronauts planting the flag on the moon. And he said that was 66 years apart. Mm-hmm. And so now we're, I don't know, how many years, we're what are we, 50, 60 years since then? And we haven't advanced in tech. We're still using jet engines. We haven't really been back to the moon. We haven't done anything.
This sounds like UFO grifter talking points. Oh, we definitely have secret technology because why would we still be using rockets? Listen, if there was something better than rockets, I think Elon Musk would be using them.
Well, really, we're still using jet engine. We haven't. So in the next 60 years, we haven't progressed at all. So we went from the Wright brothers to on the moon in 60 years. But since then to now, it's almost
right,
exactly the
always
same
evolving
in our travel and transportation.
Yeah, is that true though, Jimmy? Even just with space travel, does everything look exactly the same? Do the vehicles look the same? Have we sent probes to tons of other celestial bodies much farther than the moon, or no?
Yeah.
Then look at other forms of transportation. Did we have electric vehicles in the 1960s? Did we have autonomous vehicles? Did we have high-speed maglev trains?
Arguments.
Of course we didn't, so you're wrong. What you're trying to say is that we still use combustion in rocketry. Yeah, so what? Did you want to put a fusion reactor on a rocket? We've achieved fusion in reactors on on the ground, so it's not completely far-fetched. What else? Matter, antimatter annihilation, solar sails.
Well, that
All
may
of
be
this
true,
tech has
but it
been
still
conceived
doesn't
of,
mean that
so it's not
Ashton
an
is correct,
intellectual
Aaron
limitation.
Flores.
If you want to come up with a few $1 billion and get to work on it, nobody is fucking stopping you.
People out there,
Wow,
do you really
brutal.
think that like our cars are becoming less fuel efficient, not more fuel
This is
efficient?
completely wrong.
Energy and
Completely
propulsion are the
wrong.
only things not getting more advanced.
Another gem of stupidity from Ashton.
Yeah, he's completely and totally wrong. Cars have become increasingly more fuel efficient as time has gone on.
A number of advancements in engines and fuel injection systems have resulted in significantly improved fuel economy. Cars get around twice as many miles to the gallon as they did in 1975. Also,
Yeah, so Ashton is basically completely and totally wrong. And if you really take the time to stop and listen to him and fact check him, he's wrong a lot. He does what I call research by proclamation. He just proclaims something is true.
once again, we have electric cars now too. As for energy, did we have working fusion reactors in the 70s? No. Do
Nope.
we have them now? Yes. So what the shit are you talking about?
The SR-71 had hypersonic flight. They used a plasma sheath in front of it so that it could bypass the friction of being able to move that
That's
fast.
completely fake.
This was when they probably first figured out that plasma has these weird properties where somehow it's just like doing something to space-time that is bypassing inertia. It's reducing inertia.
More high-octane stupid. Plasma is bypassing inertia. Inertia is the property of objects to resist acceleration, and it is dependent on mass.
The SR-71 Blackbird is my favorite airplane, and I have several books. I have a history book about the development of the whole thing. There's no plasma generators on the SR-71 Blackbird. He made that up. It's fake science that he just made up. Again, research by proclamation.
Plasma has mass, just like the other states of matter. Force is required to accelerate any massive object. There's nothing about general relativity and the bending of spacetime that contradicts this basic fact, since in the context of relativity, gravity is not a force and thus does not provide acceleration.
And they started to incorporate electrogravitics into the craft.
Another buzzword.
Which is the idea that positive and minus charge can, cancel inertia, provide lift, do things that we would consider to be anti-gravitational.
He just gets dumber and dumber every time he speaks. Plus and minus can cancel inertia. That's word salad. Protons, neutrons, and electrons are all subject to gravity in the same way because of their mass. Just like I told the electric universe morons, and just like I tell the flat earth morons, if acceleration due to gravity had anything to do with electric charge, you could demonstrate it by dropping objects of differing charge. And if it was that easy to generate anti-gravity, we'd all be floating everywhere. Anyone who spews this crap is next level stupid.
Just turn the plasma sheet, which is the thing doing all the work, bypassing the inertia, floating around, turn that into a drone. Put a communication device inside of there and just float your plasma ball around.
Yes.
And Ken Shoulders in the 1980s, he was like the father of microelectronics.
No,
realized that he could make these hold non-equilibrium plasmas, he called them.
He was not the
He
father
could make them
of
coherent
microelectronics.
into shapes, like where it would become spherical and be stabilized. And he wondered where that energy would come from. So he called them exotic vacuum objects because he believed this ball of plasma that was just floating there must be pulling energy from vacuum somehow. Otherwise, it should dissipate, or how else does it find this unusual stable form?
Yes, an engineer named Ken Shoulders became a physics crackpot and made some ridiculous claims about exotic vacuum objects. Nobody has ever made anything like what you're describing. There is no unusual stable form because it does not exist.
It's got to be repeatable.
Stop pretending otherwise.
Or it's not real science.
That there's these balls that are plasma balls that are circling the plane, and you're saying that they were able to open up a wormhole. They have the technology to do that and suck the plane into this wormhole. And so I'll play this and you tell me what we're looking at. So
so this is the slow-mo of the zap from the drone video. And in this slow-mo, you can really see the heat signature of those orbs extremely clearly. And you're seeing it. They've figured out how to basically make a ball of plasma into a large macroscopic atom. So each of those orbs is basically like acting like an atom would. With
You're right. We're going to watch
positively
that
charged
next.
center,
We're
which
going
is
to
the
do
blue
both
part
parts,
that we
Chrisley.
see,
This
and
guy
then a
ripped.
negatively
I'm here
charged
for it.
shell
He
that
ripped
is,
Ashton to
in this case,
shreds.
bending towards one side of the orb. That's the green part that you see there.
Okay.
And the reason that green part's going to be moving around the orb based on the magnetic field, the combined magnetic field that these orbs are
He's
creating
mad he
around
bought those
the plane.
comic book
Hey,
X-ray
if I say
glasses. He didn't
magnetic
see
field
girls
enough
in their
times, will you
underwear.
believe this crap? It's
Yeah.
just embarrassing that Ashton is still parading around this obviously fake video.
Obviously
Everything
fake
about
video.
it is such blatant VFX. It looks like a student project that got a B-,
And
and it's been
student
debunked
project.
100 times by experts in video production. For Christ's sake, look at this joke of a wormhole portal thingy that's flashed for a couple
It's a
frames.
stock asset.
This is modified stock footage from
Stock
the 90s.
footage,
I'm not
Ashton,
going to
you
turn this
fucking
into a lengthy
moron.
technical debunking of hoax footage, since so many other people have done that, and I'll link to some of those in the description. But here's a quick snippet from a video by Mick West, which should sufficiently convince you that this video and another they will show later are definitely not real.
This portal effect was found by Redditor IcySlide7698 to be made using modified stock footage from the 1990s.
You are correct, Summerando.
It's impossible for all these curves along the edges
It's
to match by
ridiculous. He still
accident.
goes on shows and pedals.
And in
this.
comparisons between
I
other
agree.
frames, we see the internal details match. We know the stock footage is that old because it was used in a 1995 game called Killing Time for a portal effect. The stock footage is
What does
also
Mick know?
used
He
in the
just
fake satellite
designed video
video,
games
as found
for a
by
living,
Redditor Happy
you know.
Grammy, where an overexposed version of this frame matches the portal effect. That should be enough.
It should
But then
be
we
enough.
also have the stabilization issue, where if we stabilize the plane, then the contrails jump around. I've looked at thousands of videos of contrails, and they just don't do this.
Exactly.
This must be a tracking and
Proves it's
compositing error, and also shows that the video is fake. There are a bunch of other issues, like the supposed stereo version being the same image left and right, just with a manual distortion. There are issues with the frame rate. The drone footage seems to be using a 3D model. The satellite footage is static when we'd expect motion from parallax with the clouds, and several other things.
Yeah, the
Everyone
clouds
all
could be
good
moving.
there?
They
Now
don't.
we can continue making fun of Ashton for pretending to understand physics. Remember, he was talking about plasma
Oh, this
being
is
a large
brutal. It's
macroscopic
beautiful.
atom, which is total gibberish. You can't have a macroscopic atom, and atoms can't be plasma. Plasma is what you get when atoms are broken down into their constituent
Yeah, he's
parts,
good.
usually
He
due
does.
to
He's
high
got a good
temperature.
voice. I
Plasma
like his
is
voice.
inside stars and at the heart of fusion reactors like tokamaks. It requires enormous magnets to generate the forces to control that plasma. These
You know what's funny though, Chrysler? I've asked him to come on my show 25 times. He doesn't like me because he says I'm too mean to the grifters. And again, I kind of counter with like, I don't have an obligation to be nice to scammers, but I don't know what it is. Mick West is like, I think he might be on the spectrum or something. There's something off about Mick West. And by the way, I like his work. I fully support him. But Mick apparently thinks I'm too mean to the grifters, so he doesn't want to come on my show ever.
are fake balls in a fake video. How are they generating a magnetic field?
And when they come together, those are extremely powerful balls of energy. So once their magnetic fields start to intertwine, just like if you were to look at the sun and look at those like huge magnetic fields that get created on the sun, they start to twist around and break. You're going to have the magnetic fields break and begin to reconnect.
Okay, so this moron
Totally
doesn't
wrong.
even know what a magnetic field
Totally
is.
wrong.
Those huge magnetic fields that get created on the sun, he's talking about solar plumes, which extend outward from coronal holes at the sun's poles. The poles of its magnetic field.
Exactly.
The sun's one magnetic field. He thinks solar plumes are each individual magnetic fields. So he
Not
thinks
true.
magnetic fields can be made of plasma, and he thinks the sun has multiple magnetic fields.
In other words, he's a moron.
So he doesn't know what a magnetic field is.
And at some point when those orbs get too close together, you see this phase singularity. black hole,
Okay,
wormhole,
revival is here.
whatever
Now
you
it's
want
a
to call it.
party.
Turns out it all means the same thing.
No, a black hole and a wormhole are definitely not even remotely the same thing. A wormhole is a tunnel connecting 2 points in space-time, and it is purely hypothetical. A black hole is a dead star, and it is not at all hypothetical. This is approaching
Yeah,
Terrence
those are
Howard levels of
observable.
cluelessness.
But what it means there is that they are actually changing the physical properties of not the plane, but the space-time around the plane.
Around the plane. Oh.
Change the physical properties of the space-time around the plane through this extremely powerful electromagnetic interaction.
He takes it to flat
in the
earthers.
region
Robert
around
P.
the
I'm
plane.
gonna have to check that out.
And what this does is it changes the
I
refractive index.
never watched him before this.
And in the Einstein's equations, this is exactly what we need for negative energy.
In Einstein's equations, huh? Which ones would those be? And did you want to run us through the calculation? I'd settle for you demonstrating that
Show
you
us
can do
the
high
math,
school level
moron.
calculus.
Show
I'd
us
bet
the
my
math,
life
you
savings that
moron.
you can't. Once again, space-time doesn't have a refractive index. There's nothing to flip. There's no negative energy state here. There are no balls of plasma since this is a fake video, and making a ball of plasma does not create
Yeah,
negative
please
energy.
like the video. It
atom,
really does help. Thank
Its
you.
ground state,
Oh,
remember we're
fanatic.
sitting on top of this
77
ocean of
outdoors.
energy? It goes like this. So what this is we're gaining this amount of energy, but it's negative energy because it's going down.
Yeah, the
Negative
0 point
energy
energy
'cause
has
it's going down.
nothing to do with atoms and their ground state configuration. It's the
Wrong
energy
again,
associated with the
moron.
vacuum
Oh,
of
this
space.
is
The
beautiful.
vacuum of space is not atoms, dumbass. He's just saying random words that don't go together. Also, I love Jimmy just sitting there motionless, probably wondering when this guy will shut the fuck up and he can stop having to pretend he has any clue what's happening.
He has
Don't
no
worry,
clue.
Jimmy. This is a rare case where it's not just that you're stupid, he isn't actually saying anything.
So the space-time shrinks down, this plane just goes, and then somewhere else, the reason why my name is Ashton Forbes, or at least that's my brand, is because there's a fourth orb
Oh, that's
somewhere else.
interesting.
Where
Yeah, I'll have to check that out,
the
Richard.
plane
Warner.
comes out.
Like I said, I'm
and when
new
the plane
to this
comes out on the
professor.
other side, the total charge of the three orbs.
Yes, they pulled
imagine
up a
they're,
partial
let's
wing.
say, all positive.
Yes,
So
there's
three
been
positive
some small pieces
are
of
going to be
wreckage
perfectly
found.
balanced out by the fourth orb, which would be 3 negative charge total. And they'd be quantum entangled together so that when the plane appears, the orbs just all dissipate. They all
Yeah, it's pretty
cancel each other out.
definitive that there were.
Oh, what a
wreckage found.
cute little branding gimmick. You took your name and made up some bullshit to connect it to your grift. Quantum entanglement has absolutely nothing to do with anything you've said so far. We observe it in systems that are created
Wrong
with some
again.
kind of correlation,
This
like
is
two
beautiful
electrons
because this is what happens when a pseudoscience moron like Ashton gets confronted by a real scientist.
with opposite spin, and they have to be isolated from absolutely everything else in order to preserve that entanglement, or they become entangled with everything they interact with. He's just evoking this concept because it has the word quantum in it, and all of his fans have read about it in every pop-sci article designed to convince
I'm a
uneducated
physicist
narcissists that
now.
they've mastered frontier theoretical physics.
And that's a negative energy event. It's cold. So here's the physics that proves it. If you actually look into these negative energy events, what should happen is there should be a release of ultraviolet photons.
Any release of photons
Yeah,
means
and here's where he's completely and totally wrong too, because I'll let Professor Dave explain. But this one is a big hello, I'm a moron to Ashton Forbes. He's basically saying, well, the video shows the release of this energy that should not be visible.
a lot of energy. It doesn't mean negative energy. Lots of things in the universe emit UV photons, including our sun. To do that, it goes from large positive energy to less positive energy. UV photons do not equal negative energy. If I have 5 apples and give away 3 apples, I have 2 apples, not negative apples.
People say, why is there a flash in the satellite video? The
So
one
in
top
this
left?
video, there's a flash.
You see that
Right,
flash?
I see
Yeah,
that
the flash is a stock asset, you moron.
flash.
It reflects
Yes.
off the clouds. That's that's real light reflecting off real clouds.
They're not real clouds. It's a fake static background somebody made, you moron.
That's ultraviolet light.
Well, human eyes can't see ultraviolet light, so you really
Big problem. That's ultraviolet light. Well, oh shit. Human eyes can't see ultraviolet light.
screwed yourself with that bullshit explanation, genius. And no, any attempt to evoke camera trickery or filters or reflections or anything else is not going to change that. This is clearly visible
It's
light.
visible light.
Of course, he's
Not
just making up
ultraviolet
some
light.
ridiculous excuse.
He's completely and totally wrong. This is like eighth seventh grade science, right? Do you remember learning about ultraviolet light or infrared light and how we can't see it? He just said that flash was ultraviolet light. If it was ultraviolet light, we wouldn't be able to see it, you moron.
Excuse to explain why the little wormhole explosion thingy looks completely different in the two hoax videos. The obvious explanation is that they are two different hoax videos that use two different stock videos for the effect.
Or they use the same stock effect, and in the one video it was overexposed and brightened to be so white and not show much detail, and it's very small in the frame.
As we proved with the Mick West video. But Ashton fumbling high school level physics is a nice cherry on top.
So if the plane was already going to crash and was already on fire, why would they disappear it?
A shockingly logical question from Jimmy. Yes, if the big bad government wanted this plane gone, there's easier ways than creating wormholes.
Well, actually, if you go listen to a lot of the conspiracy interviews about this plane, which I've listened to everything there is about there, they said that this was like a message. This is some kind of message, you know, and so the idea here is that
let's teleport a plane.
China is stealing some semiconductor engineers, people that work on these advanced microchips for this U.S. company.
So there were people on this plane going to China that had some protected information about microchips or some kind of scientific information.
And that part is true. There were some scientists on that plane.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do would still be to make the plane crash. Killing people is a lot easier than teleporting them to another galaxy, guys.
Or another
You're
dimension.
saying that people who claim that these videos are fabricated and debunked, you're saying that these videos appeared 4 days after the plane disappeared. And that's a pretty compelling piece of evidence that these aren't fabricated, correct?
Yeah, people have already proved how quickly these videos can be made. They can be made in a few hours.
I mean, people can believe whatever the hell they want. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to tell you why they did this. I don't care. I'm not trying to tell you what it all means and the stake of the universe or whatever. I'm just telling you those videos are real. The United States government's the one who's responsible for MH370, and they have warp drive and wormhole technology.
I'm not telling you what to think, you guys. I'm just telling you that hoax videos are real and the government can do warp drives. Listen to how confident I am. That's how you know I'm not full of shit at all. What does Ashton do to anyone who tells him that these videos are fake? Block, block, block.
Block, block, block.
Anyway, we could go.
He's very disingenuous, right? If his theories are so correct, he'd be able to withstand debate. He blocked hundreds of people.
Go on for hours with this, but we've covered.
He wants to live in an echo chamber.
Enough to give you a solid picture of who this jerk is. He's nothing but a storyteller with some sci-fi buzzwords that he's rehearsed enough to convince people with zero education in physics that he knows what he's talking about. As I've shown you conclusively here, he absolutely doesn't. It's all just unearned grifter confidence and a direct line into
snake oil
to the outsider's resentment of academia. I know the super secret truth, you guys, the one that the college clowns are too closed-minded to understand. You can know it too and be a super genius, much more geniusier than the stupid science people. Just like Graham Hancock, just like Terrence Howard, it's always the same. Anyway, let's move on to how Ashton plays with others. After
this part's my favorite.
Developing a strong social media presence, some people started to debunk the.
Look at that. He got 300,000 followers off of these completely and totally fake videos.
Things he says. Predictably, Ashton uses this to pretend that the closed-minded establishment can't handle his super awesome truth, which is grifter street cred. But let's poke through some of his interactions with real physicists just for funsies. Here's a post from May 2024. Ether, free energy, crazy weapons. This guy tells him he's just taking random topics and making them sound conspiratorial. Oh yeah? Explain thing that we haven't figured out yet, and also explain trivial thing we figured out a super long time ago. Take that, jerkface. Well, running your mouth about dark matter can attract physicists who work on dark matter. In this case, Daniel Whiteson, particle physicist and professor at UC Irvine. He uses the LHC to search for dark matter, and he's no stranger to science communication. He tells Ashton that nobody knows what dark matter is, and what you said about the universe expanding faster than the speed of light was stupid. Ashton says, "Shut up, you book-smart academic dummy. Here's some bullshit about dark energy, a totally separate topic." Ashton thinks they're the same because they both have the word dark darken them,
Yeah,
which
dark
shows what a
matter.
complete
and
moron he really
he
is.
is a moron. Dark matter and dark energy are two completely different things, but he just confused the two of them.
Ashton says, stop thinking about particles, bro. Think about waves. You know, like we've been doing for 120 years since wave-particle duality was developed. I'm hella deep, bro. Don't worry, you can get there, real physicist. It's not so hard. What a douchebag. Daniel reads the recommended Bearden paper and has a lot to say, like using basic logic to prove him wrong. If dark matter is electromagnetic energy, then that would change the mass
But
of
they're
everything
both
made of
dark,
charged
though.
particles,
Yes.
like stars. But
Aaron
we see the
Flores
effect of dark
says
matter where
very
there are
different
no
things.
stars and
He's got a
planets.
physics degree.
There's way
I
too much
trust he's
physics in
right.
these responses, so Ashton just shits his pants and dismisses him. You're wrong. I can't say how, but you just are, okay, stupid physics man? Because 2 plus 2 isn't 5, so you're wrong. And that's the end. A real physicist was thorough and cordial, offered to help him understand these concepts, and Ashton just ignored him.
Ashton
Probably
shit all
blocked
over
him,
the
too.
guy.
If you're an Ashton fan because fancy words impress you, who had the fancy words here? The physicist. Ashton suddenly gets real quiet when other people know what they're talking about. And what a surprise, he's mouthed off about me as well. Remember when I crapped all over Terrence Howard and some other jerk named Wiping You, who were taking turns spewing
Database
bullshit
manager.
on the PBD podcast? Well, all my
Yeah.
talk about Ashton's precious ether not existing triggered him something awful based on his reply to this other moron. According to Ashton, anybody who understands basic physics must be a pedo. Probably a groomer, too. I wonder if he's a Daily Wire subscriber. Anyway,
Yeah,
this is
and basically this is the tactics that Ashton Forbes uses. If somebody says that his theories are fake, they're suddenly a PDF file. Like, that is so cringeworthy that he's willing to call somebody a child predator with no evidence whatsoever, just because they say that the videos are fake, or just because they say that his theories are bullshit and pseudoscience. Just call him a child predator, right? Just call him a child predator. Discredit him.
existing triggered him something awful based on his reply to this other moron. According to Ashton, anybody who understands basic physics must be a pedo. Probably a groomer, too. I wonder if he's a Daily Wire subscriber. Anyway, this is the part where we have to start
I bet you
asking
he is.
ourselves, where's the grift? Conspiracy theories are great for amassing a social media following, but at some point a grifter has to cash in somehow, otherwise what's the point? Well, for Ashton, that would involve some hot products for sale. He is actively trying to sell people free energy machines that he claims tap into the quantum
go.
vacuum.
There's the
On
grift.
June 7th,
There's the grift. Trying to sell $50,000 free energy devices to morons that don't realize free energy doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. It's pseudoscience, just like the rest of the nonsense he talks about.
2024, he announced the formation of a company called EtherTech to distribute over Unity devices, meaning machines that put out more power than they use, which means they have an output-input ratio greater than 1, or Unity. He claimed to have already sold 30 devices that have been working for 3 years.
Yeah, and why can't we let me interview the 30 people that bought one and ask them if it works? That alone proves that Ashton is a con artist and a scammer and a grifter. He claimed that he sold 30 free energy devices that work. Well, then let me speak to the 30 purchasers. Or are you making all this shit up and you don't have a working device? Very simple. Show me the 30 people that bought a free energy device from you. Let me interview them. I'll fly to where they live and I'll measure the device myself. But he won't do that because this is all a scam.
Wow, so if this is true, it would change the world. Forget solar, forget wind, forget nuclear. This is tech that creates energy out of thin air. How much would this be worth? The solar industry was worth $250 billion in 2023. Wind is worth $100 billion. But Ashton's company can make energy without wind, the sun, or fissile materials. That's $1 trillion idea at least. But lucky you, he'll sell you one for the low, low price of 50
name
grand.
this company after
You'd be stupid
disproven and
not to buy
abandoned
it.
hypothesis.
Of course, there is a
Exactly.
catch. You have to sign an NDA. You know, because revealing this super secret tech would get him targeted by the ultra-advanced secret breakaway civilization and then disappeared into a wormhole just like MH370. Or, you know, maybe because it's a scam, one or the other.
We've
Now,
been.
even
I
the
have a
people who are
12-hour
gullible
deep
enough to
dive on
potentially
him
buy this
already.
crap need something to sink
put
their
together
teeth
a
into,
12-hour deep
some
dive on
kind of a
him.
demonstration. So on June 13th, 2024, on a live stream, he promises a teaser taste of the device. He's going to show a picture of it to prove it's real. A picture, you guys. So he shows a picture, and live
His
on
face.
stream, someone reverse image searches it and discovers that it's a picture of an older scam device by a discredited scam artist claiming to have produced an over Unity device in 2010,
Yeah,
14 years
years ago.
prior. Ashton is trying to prove his device is real, but he is showing a picture of a 14-year-old device made by someone else.
A
This is
scammer.
not a demo model, just to be clear. This is an older model that was from over a year ago. I told you guys that this entity had produced these devices and produced over 30 of them. I was able to get an image of the meters from an older device. So, I don't know. Is Baker's Tut joking? I think he's probably joking.
Yeah, it's from a
I hope
scam,
you're joking,
another
man.
scammer.
If
from
people are
14 years
gonna
ago.
like think that they're going to are people really gonna try to push disinformation and claim that we
I
took
agree.
an old picture from somewhere else?
Elf Star.
It wouldn't surprise me if debunkers are that dishonest. Honestly, no.
Oh yeah, the
No,
debunkers
no.
are dishonest, not
This image
you.
is not 14 years
You're trying
old.
to scam
I
people with a
guarantee you that.
14-year-old device.
Well, you guys are right. This does look like it comes from 14 years ago. So I'm gonna have to get
Ooh.
clarification on this.
Ooh.
I stand corrected. Pretty neat, chat. Yeah, real life disclosure happening in real time by your four Orbeez buddy Ashton Forbes. Pretty exciting. So I want to make sure that this isn't a situation where I'm being, misled.
Could be,
related to
Luca.
this here.
You could be right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to have to assume that it's possible that I could be misled, but no, this is definitely must be that image must come from this.
Look, this is
Busted.
really bad. Ashton has been completely busted. This is devastating, point of no return type exposing. But Grifter's gotta grift, right? He pretends he was not aware of the previous device and that he was misled. So misled by who? He's
Yeah,
never
your
even
scam
seen
partner.
the device he's claiming to be selling. He's already sold 30, he said. He never saw those
point.
either.
How
So
did
he's
you sell
overflowing
30
with
of them?
confidence about this super awesome free energy device he's never even seen. Who's making them? Why are they cutting him in on this $1 trillion idea without
Right.
even showing him the device? Or is this just a pathetic
I
Hail
need free
Mary
energy,
play
too.
after getting his grift completely exposed? That's a rhetorical question.
Especially with
I know
all
that
these
you
air
all know the
conditioners
answer.
going in my house.
So what's the
We're in a heat
fallout
wave.
been after this? Ashton has been desperate to rebuild some credibility after the whole free energy device drop shipping scam, and his move was to just try to befriend other grifters and have them on his show. First up, Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist turned crackpot who has been cashing in on baseless stories to sell pop-sci books, the most famous of which involves the claim that the comet Oumuamua is an alien
Yeah,
space.
I don't care if Avi Loeb works at Harvard. He's a complete and total scam artist grifter. And we know that because he sold this book claiming that Oumuamua was an interstellar spacecraft or probe of some sort. And then when all the other astrophysicists proved that he was completely and totally wrong, and it's just a rock, basically, he's still selling the book, claiming that it's an interstellar spaceship. If you were selling a book and you're a scientist and your theory was completely and totally proven to be wrong, why would you still be selling the book with the wrong theory in it? When all the other scientists proved that you were wrong and that your book was bullshit. Why would you keep selling that book? You're a grifter, that's why.
Craft. He's peddled some other similar stories since then, which have prompted quite a bit of pushback from the astrophysics community, but we don't have to get into the details. Perhaps I'll do a separate video on Loeb if enough people are interested in seeing what a fraud he's become.
Have no
But
soul.
for our purposes here, Ashton clearly just wants Loeb to greenlight some aspect of his bullshit. Something. Anything.
This is called the Casimir effect, and it has to do with a vacuum. But it doesn't allow us to propel anything.
Yeah,
This technology was
extraterrestrial
never attempted,
microspheres. Yes.
as far as I know, he would have gotten
What
a
if
Nobel
they just don't
Prize
care
if he
about
could.
Nobel Prizes? It's a scary thought, right? But
It's not a
Academic
scary
grifter.
thought, but I don't think
Many like him in physics.
I think
You're
we
correct.
would learn about it because somewhere, sometime there would be a leak. There is nothing really magical about the plasma in terms of propulsion. The way I think of it is, if there is a system that has
Welcome,
some
Baker's
novel
Tuts.
propulsion
Welcome, Baker.
abilities as a result of some unusual engine of a technology we don't possess, then there might be a plasma around as a consequence of that engine moving the object, but that's not the essence.
As you can see, Loeb is only comfortable with level 1 crack pottery.
Yeah,
He needs
he
his
doesn't want to go
bullshit to
too
be
deep.
academia adjacent in order to retain a shred of credibility.
Loeb
No
was Israeli
egregious
intelligence. Who knows
misrepresentations
what
of
he's
scientific
doing?
principles,
Exactly.
just a dishonest bending of the truth. So he's not going to give Ashton what he wants here. And when Avi Loeb rejects your conspiracy theories, you know you're not in good shape. Anyway, I think that's more or less all that needs to be said about
chocolate eclair.
Ashton Forbes.
Yeah.
He's a complete putz of a grifter who spews word salad about negative energy plasma orbs that flies in the face of basic physics knowledge. He doesn't know the definitions of most of the words he uses, even basic concepts like what magnetic fields are. It's also not an original grift. Everything is cobbled together from plasma cosmology, electric universe, cold fusion conspiracies, and more.
Yeah, so he basically is like doing what David Wilcock does, which is cobble together a bunch of shit you found on the internet that supports your theory and keep pushing your theory. And act like that cobbled together nonsense, the tapestry of pseudoscience bullshit that you've used to create this whole thing isn't all, basically fake.
And as always, it's the anti-establishment narrative that ties it all together. Check out my super awesome secret truth that the scientists and the government don't want you to know. It's infantile. Physicists want...
Yeah, it's exactly like the Wilcock thing. Like, basically, Ashton Forbes is essentially saying that all the academic scientists are completely and totally wrong, and he's right. What are the odds of that being true?
Want to understand the universe. They want to discover aliens. They want to develop clean energy. They want to know more about dark matter and dark energy. And they certainly want to uncover technological applications that are derived from new knowledge. But innovating new science is hard. Frauds like Ashton don't know the first thing about what it takes to do scientific research, and he never will. That's why he has to turn to things like free energy device scams that blow up right in his dumb face. That anyone would still follow this tool after a stunt like that requires that people don't even know that these things have happened. And that's why I cover them, to shine a spotlight on the facts and take a chunk out of his following. And maybe to start a little drama, right? Ashton, I know you're watching since you're such a narcissistic little wiener. Don't forget to whine about me in a bunch of tweets and send your army of brainwashed followers to attack me. Just make sure they don't actually watch this video, though. We wouldn't want them learning about what a fraud you really are.
Oh man, this guy's really, really fucking bringing it.
And of course, you wouldn't want to turn this into an extended back and forth, where after an initial relatively mild video, I just end up pummeling you into oblivion. Take a bit of advice from James Dore, or Sabur Ahmad, or Discovery Institute. Or don't. Poke the hornet's nest and see what happens.
Oh man, so
that's it for Ashton Forbes, the loser fraud who tried to get rich off of sci-fi stories, but had it all blow up in his face due to extreme incompetence. Shall we tackle some other frauds in this genre while we're at it?
Oh please,
I'm thinking
I
I
hope
might
he
just
does
do
more
that,
videos.
so let me know if you have anyone specific in mind. Until next time.
All right, we made it through. We made it through, friends. Oops. We made it through. I want to thank Troll for a kind and generous $5. We should use a recording of Ashton thinking he just bought top secret stuff as a ringtone. Yeah, remember that one too? He got scammed out of money because he thought he was buying top secret stuff. Top secret stuff, but thank you for helping us too. Praise the cash, bitches!
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. I am in a pretty good mood because today I got all of my errands done. I think I've mentioned before that when I have to go to the cabin, I'm going tomorrow, do the last bit of cleaning and getting the cabin ready for my family. They're coming the following weekend. I hate it when I have to stop at the beer store or stop at the supermarket or stop at the Home Depot or hardware store. I got it all done today. That's why the show was a little late today. so I can get my errands done. And I have my favorite thing tomorrow is a straight shot to the cabin. My whole car is loaded already. I got a load of mulch, another load of mulch. My whole car is filled with it. 12 more bags of mulch. That should be enough to finish off the front yard, and then I'll start on the side yard. So straight shot to the cabin. Questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. True Seekers, Dave goes over the part Ashton gets scammed in the second video. Thank you. I haven't watched that one yet. I'm going to watch it with you guys. We're going to do a part 2 on this. I'm just happy that somebody with a big following finally took this guy apart, right? Yes, Baker's Tuts, we're going to do the second video. My next show should be the second video. I'm just not quite sure when that's going to be. Maybe Saturday night we'll do that. Or if I have time, I can do an afternoon show tomorrow and we'll go over the second one. Because this first one was good, but I think a little sciencey, right? But it's nice to have a real scientist rip him apart and show that he's basically just, he's doing word salad techno babble, like Star Trek speak. It's not real science. He doesn't know the first thing. Ashton used bots to like his comment he made, and Dave's video is, you got to read that comment. We'll do it in part 2, Zippo Fanatic 77 Outdoors. We'll take some comments from the Kick Live chat as well. Let me get over there. 1 second. Let me go to the Kick channel and welcome in the Kick viewers. Rex Hole 689 is over there and says, yes, the great minds at Harvard that can't answer what a woman is and let their $100,000 tuition students be racially outcast without repercussion. And Rex also says, stop, he's already dead. Yeah, and somebody's mentioning pills. Yeah, apparently Ashton Forbes' family was on some of the threads on Twitter or something saying that he needs to start taking his meds again. Oh, you gotta love it. Ray Gunner is over there just laughing at all of this. I love it, though. Crazy Warlock. Shout out to Crazy Warlock. Shakes a pill bottle full of pills. Oh, no. Someone needs to get Professor Dave on the Blue Chicken Cult. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. 1 second. Matt Joe says, for 2 years, I volunteered Wednesdays and Fridays and other days to a Christian church and youth group. I didn't ask for anything. I did it for God. Now I have ghosts that lay with me in bed. Well, that's interesting. You never know what people are going to say, right? Archaic Revival says, I'm convinced all the glaringly gushing comments are bots. Half of the comment sections are bots these days. Could be. Yeah. Yeah, and YY Fool says, get them meds, bro. Yeah, you definitely, yeah, you need to get some meds, right? If he's off of his meds, then I think somebody should get him some help. It's sad if he's off of his meds and he really needs them. It could explain some of his conspiratorial thinking. Science-y word confetti, says Arlene Z. That's a pretty good explanation, right? This reminds me of when Wes Huff took down Billy Carson. Yeah, Billy Carson ran a free energy scam as well, Operation Shutdown. It's pretty common that UFO grifters figure out they can also scam people for free energy devices. Algaray, already looking forward to part 2. Yeah, we'll see if we can't get that done. Tina T, in case anyone's interested, I have an Illudium Q36 explosive space modulator for sale. That sounds better than Ashton's grifty talk. An Illudium Q36 explosive space modulator. Yes, yes. And Arlene says Ashton is totally delusional. Aaron Flores, what is his education in? Well, if he's a database manager, he might have a college degree in management information systems or computer science. Generally, a database manager I think he works in healthcare as a database manager, which is pretty scary, right? But I think his background is in something like management information systems or computer science. There's a big market for alternative science grifters. Just look how many suspicious observers followers show up in the comments. I doubt he can afford bots. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Urban Terror says Looney Tunes. Yes, absolutely. Even his education is questionable. Well, I won't believe it until, I haven't done a detailed background check on him. I don't care to. That takes a lot of time and resources to do. Garaji is here and says, Space Modulator, where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth shattering kaboom. Let's hope not. Page 5 Watch Party is here and says, probably BIS, MIS, or computer science. Yeah. Maybe a general IT degree. Yeah, or could have just went to one of those like 6-month trade schools to learn how to be a database administrator. Yeah, I don't know. I was a Linux system administrator, but databases are their own kind of thing. You really need to be a specialist to handle that, I would think. I've never done it. More like BS, says some rando. Yes. Well, I believe we have called out everybody we have to call out. I'll just check in with the PayPal pledges. For those unaware, you can support the show in multiple ways: super chats, super stickers, super thanks. Remember, even if you're watching a replay, you can hit that thanks button and throw a couple bucks in our hat. Keep us honest and on the right track here. Yeah. All right, that's interesting. Maria has a $25 PayPal pledge and says, I can't wait for David Wilcock's grift to come crashing down by the end of the year. You're right. Everyone will know that the Ascension was a scam again. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, Maria. Much, much appreciated. And you are correct. David Wilcock has run the Ascension is Coming Soon scam 3 times now. And by the end of the year, everybody will know that he scammed everybody for a 3rd time, all with the same scam. But thank you for helping us to praise the cash, Maria.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
That creature has stolen my Iridium Q36 explosive space modulator. Get him. Oh, that's interesting. Page 5 Watch Party is a MySQL DBA, and you have a computer science degree. I was pursuing a computer science degree, but I didn't get very far because I felt like I was paying a lot of money for teachers that knew less about coding than me. And I felt like I was getting ripped off. Page 5. Like, I could code rings around every professor that I had, it's disappointing. If I went to college because I wanted to learn more about coding and computer science. I learned a lot of electronics and different things from some of the people that I was in college with, though. I wouldn't change my experience, but maybe someday I'll go back and finish that degree, right? Can't hurt. But I felt like I was wasting my time. And at the time I was working full time during the day and I was going to college at night. And then I had a child and something had to give. And I felt like I was not getting my money's worth by a long shot in college. I couldn't believe the professors didn't know zip. Do you know why fools? I had my first computer class. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe Introduction to Computer Science. I don't know. The professor was brand new at teaching, and she didn't know that Mac operating system and Windows were different, and that you couldn't run. Well, you kind of can, but anyway, she didn't know the difference between Mac OS and Windows. She thought that a Mac could run Windows and a Windows PC could run Mac, and that's not the case. I think a Mac can run Windows, but not the other way around unless you're going to get into a Hackintosh. But she was totally clueless, this woman, and I was like, holy shit, I'm paying all this money for this course, and this bitch doesn't know the difference between Mac and Windows? Why am I here, I like some of the coding classes, but I mean, I could have basically just bought the book, and because it felt like there was no help. Like, the professors weren't really helping. It was like they give you this book with coding exercises in it, like coding projects, like, I don't know, write a program to calculate the circumference of a circle square this big or whatever, whatever these exercises were. But it felt like the professors were not helping, like you were just on your own to figure it out. And if the program worked, you got a good grade. If the program didn't work, you got a bad grade. But there was no set way to do some of that stuff, right? I don't know. Someday I'll get back to coding. I really used to enjoy it. I had one good professor. The rest said use YouTube. You're right. You're right. I think I enjoyed some of the classes that weren't computer related more than the computer related. I really didn't enjoy the computer related courses, but I took like philosophy and I took comparative religion and something else for electives, and I really enjoyed them. And but not so much the coding classes. Yeah, some of the professors don't know what that is. Page 5 watch party. Yeah, pretty clueless. Some of them. Yeah, you can use virtual machines to run different OSs. Yeah, you're correct. But I'm telling you, page 5, she did not know the difference between Mac and Windows. She thought all computers could run whatever operating system you put on them on bare metal, and that's not the case. And so I was like horrified, like, oh my God, this is my teacher. She doesn't know that. Jesus Christ. All right. So I think we've done our due diligence. I'm going to have some great extra videos for you on Saturday. I have to re-upload the first episode of the Midnight Hour. For those unaware, before Truth Seekers, I did a show called the Midnight Hour where it was just audio. And I really enjoyed just being a voice in the wind. So I've started that back up again. This weekend, I have to re-upload episode 1. I'm going to do that at noon on Saturday. It will premiere because there was some copyright issue with 1 minute piece of music. So I had to take it down and fix that. And I'm re-uploading it. And then midnight on Saturday, or really the beginning of Sunday, somebody keeps correcting me. Midnight on Saturday, I say Saturday night at midnight, there will be episode 2 of the Midnight Hour. And I may also be debuting one of those sleep streams. If you go to our video section, I've been experimenting with that kind of content, hoping maybe one of those will catch the algorithm because I've seen some of those ambient sleep to this videos get millions of views. I don't know how they're doing it because mine only got very little views, the first one, but I've already built it. So we're going to debut it because I've got it, right? We have to keep the YouTube hamster wheel spinning as fast as possible, right? JB is here and says Ashton has been losing stock and crashing out to trolls, deniers, and people with functioning brains. But Ashton's cult will keep going strong. He's got a lot of gullible devotees. You are probably correct, right? And that's sad because, I said at the beginning of the broadcast, and I don't mean to be unkind to his followers, but Ashton's a moron. We've seen that. Like when a real scientist listens to what he's saying, he can clearly point out that Ashton is wrong about just about everything. And so my point is Ashton is a moron. His followers have to be even bigger morons, right? But let me know in the live chat and the comments if you want me to do a part 2. I think we're going to do it, though. Everybody said the second video Professor Dave did responding to his meltdown was even better. And I'm here for it. This guy is victimizing these victims of this plane crash, re-victimizing their families. Several people in their families want him to stop, using their family to make money off of morons on the internet. Locales, it's disrespectful to his followers too. It's disrespectful. I don't know. I would feel bad if I was lying to my audience here at Christley. And by the way, I want to thank you for coming on and explaining so much. And also, listen, let me just thank you for what you've done to try to expose these hoax videos, because I know it's a thankless job. Christley's an expert in video. You can follow Christley TV on Twitter. And Christley rips these videos apart. Why are we still talking about this? It's ridiculous. And Christley has experienced the moron parade coming at her just for telling people the truth about the videos. Like I said, they live in a delusional fantasy world where this shit's real, and they don't want to hear the real truth, which is kind of sad. So they're morons because they don't know physics. No, they're morons because they believe a grifter and a scammer. I don't know physics that well, but I know enough to fact check the things that Ashton is saying, and figure out that he's speaking technobabble nonsense. It's word salad technobabble nonsense, right? This is not real science. So if you're gonna, if you're gonna follow a guy who's lying to you and scamming and re-victimizing all the victims of that tragic plane crash, then yeah, you're a fucking moron. You're a moron. And I have had my fair share of the morons coming at me, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna. And I've also been surprised by the number of other content creators, including people that I know, that platformed him. And why did they platform him? Well, he's got a big following, and then they all do the cop out like, well, we're just having a conversation. Doesn't mean I, believe everything he says, but I think those videos may be real. No, they're not real. They're fake. Right. Yeah. The important fact is that Ashton knows he is lying to fools. Yeah. They have to be stupid to believe him. I think they're just victims to his mentality. You could be really smart or kind and someone can still fool you. Yeah, they want to live in that false reality where this stuff is real, right? Yes, he uses the victims to threaten people with legal action and moral grandstand. What he said and did towards Chrysler was disgusting too, uncalled for. Yeah, he's threatened to sue people into oblivion for saying the videos are fake. He's threatened to, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Tupa and RPK are on his side. Well, they're also running cryptocurrency scams, right? So no surprise there, I guess. And by the way, many people wanted me to cover that crypto scam that those two were involved in. I haven't gotten around to it. Those kind of things require a great deal of research. I don't want to accuse them of helping run a crypto scam until I know all the facts, and I don't. But I looked into it a little, and it does not look good, right? It's a giant circle jerk, says Aaron Flores. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've had a very long day with my children, friends, and I haven't even eaten anything yet, and it's almost 11 p.m., and I'm going to I'm trying to drop a few pounds, and I've been doing everything I can to not eat late at night, but then I forget to eat sometimes, and then I'm hungry, so it is what it is. We'll take the early. Maybe I'll get something to eat, and then I do this sometimes. I'm stuck in my house with my children all day. It's very difficult to go anywhere with my autistic son, so we just kind of hang out at home. But sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning, I go for an hour walk, right? Oh, that's interesting. Urban Terror says, great book written in 1951 called A True Believer. Eric Hoffer. I'll check it out. I've been working on rebuilding my library in the basement. I like having those kind of books around. Yeah. Eat Greek salad. Not a fan of Greek salad. I prefer Caesar, right? So let me take this banner down. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back, but be sure to follow me at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. Also, check out our new Clips channel. Just search for True Seekers Clips and go there and smash that subscribe button. It would really help us out. I think we need like 350 more people to subscribe over there so we can get that channel monetized and praise the cash for the clips, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure when I'll be back, but visit our website, trueseekershow.com. You can get all the latest episodes, whether you want them in audio or video format. And I mentioned following me on Twitter. You could join our Discord server and chat with like-minded people and fellow truth seekers around the globe 24/7, not just when we're broadcasting live. And as I said, we've got a pretty busy weekend ahead of some pre-recorded shows. But they're brand new. Well, the one is. 2 of the 3 videos are brand new. The other one, I have to repost it because somebody tried to take my ad pennies away, and I didn't like that. So we fixed it, and we will be re-uploading it. So as for now, that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow. Echoes through the halls, crashing all your walls. Truth seekers, exposing the truth. Truth seekers, coming for you. Uncover the lies, open your eyes. Shadows try to hide, no place for them to bide. Light will pierce you through, reveal what is true.